Very cozy up here. Well, believe it or not, this is actually Seaworthy's first fully in-person panel. We launched these panels virtually through the pandemic back in September of last year, and we've done some hybrid, obviously, but never a full in-person one. And we are quite cozy up here, but we're gonna have a lot of fun doing it. So all that being said, this panel that we're having now is about art driving ocean impact, awareness, and action. And I'm so excited. I'm very good friends with a lot of folks here, and just love the opportunity to feature their work, but more importantly, really talk about how we can really connect these mediums with real impact. We're all about tangible impact here. So with that, I'd love to go down the panel here and have everyone introduce themselves and just talk a little bit about what you're working on. Priscilla, would you like to kick us off?
Sure. My name is Priscilla DeBrito. I am the founder and innovator designer of Sirens, and it's based here in South Florida, and I work domestically and internationally.
Amazing. Thank you. Shelby?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shelby Thomas, founder and CEO of the Ocean Rescue Alliance. We're a marine conservation and restoration nonprofit organization that implements different techniques to scale marine restoration through utilizing artificial structure.
Morning, I'm Natalie Lefebvre. I'm the founder of One Ocean, One Future, an NGO, and also have a social media agency focused on endangered species of our oceans and protecting them in any way I can.
Morning, everyone. My name is Emily McClone, and I work as a director of an international organization called Peaceboat US, based in New York City. And we have a ship that travels the world promoting peace, education, and sustainable development, sailing as a flagship for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, working on ocean conservation, climate action, and education through our programs. Nice to be here with all of you.
Amazing. Well, to kick us off, I'd love to take a little deeper dive into just what mediums and ways that you guys actually are able to really drive art for the ocean. And so, what mediums are you using to connect art with the ocean, and how do you see people engaging through it? Throw it back to Emily to start. We'll come down this way.
Sure. Well, we have a really interesting program on board the Peaceboat. We use our ship, first of all, as an educational space. So we have many guest educators who come on board and give lectures and workshops, and many of those workshops are related to art. So we have different artists that come on board. We visit about 20 countries every 3 months. So we have guest artists from Latin America, from Africa, from Europe, all around the world, and especially Asia as well, because we were founded in Japan. And yeah, I have a couple of the art pieces here with us today, but I'll just give one example. This is just a postcard, an artist named Dragon76, Satoshi Fujita. And he comes on board with us and he does murals and leaves his imprint basically wherever we travel around the world. And his message is always coexist. So supporting humanity and nature, living in harmony. And today we have some of these augmented reality art pieces, which I will share with you just a little bit later when we get into the tech side.
Amazing. Natalie?
Yeah, so One Ocean, One Future, we're actually launching our first project in the Nile. We're going after, where pollution starts. So that's mostly in the rivers and the waterfalls. And we have a boat that'll take the plastic out. We're going to educate the communities in that surrounding area, recycle. And second part of it is social media awareness, building education around how it goes out, what's in it, NFTs as well. So we've launched the endangered indigenous Aldabra tortoise of the Seychelles Islands, kind of promoting awareness, and you're going to be able to, with a utility attached, adopt a tortoise and name him in Frigate Private Island. So it's all about conservation to protect these beautiful, majestic creatures, and also create the social media awareness around it so people know what's going on around the world.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So of course we all know the ocean can be out of sight, out of mind for many people. And one thing with the Ocean Rescue Alliance, we're really trying to utilize art for impact to really create that personal connection back to the ocean. We have a few different ways we integrate that. One, primarily incorporating that into our artificial reefs, where we'll do different artistic designs that can really connect local community and culture and engage other artists, but especially moving into this new technological advancements in world, really utilizing connecting in different types of art mediums like NFTs to do ocean conservation-based designs that can really link directly to restoration and further help promote and fund it in the future. So we're looking forward to involving art in every aspect of what we do to really strengthen people's connection.
Priscilla?
Awesome. Yeah, so Sea Sirens Project is it's a collective project that basically embodies a whole community. And this just gave a completely new level of achievement by incorporating so many people within the metaverses and NFTs and also the youth. So I work strictly with STEAM education. So my thing is really educating the younger generation to the future and also implying the NFTs and metaverses and allowing everyone to be engaged into governing, deciding what we're going to do next, and giving people a chance from all around the world to be part of a project, no matter where they stand. So, which is it's a very impactful way for you to engage children at all levels and ages, as well as the community. Most of all, we reach out the community, which is within our perimeter, and then again, I stretch out domestically and internationally. So this is awesome. Thank you, ladies, for being part of this.
Yeah,
I love
I
that.
should mention not only our first in-person panel, but an all-women power panel. So, yeah,
Daniel has a bunch of mermaids.
yeah. Well, exactly. Yes. Well, I was gonna say, and you guys have 1,000. So,
Yeah, 1,000 mermaids back.
we'll get to that. So, and we got puns. All that being said, so now let's dive deeper, Priscilla, to your point of, what technologies are really involved in your art and your mediums, and how might these help drive broader impacts? And Priscilla, you can kick us off. We'll go back down the line.
Of course. So, I mean, just going back to the STEAM education, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, and just really proposing it mostly to the youth, that's so important as a first fundamental aspect at what I do. Engaging art and just having all of these new platforms with the metaverse is, again, going back to that. It just gives a whole new meaning for the art world. This is the first time we're actually connecting with people at every corner of the earth. So when it comes to materials, I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, what I use and it's already been implied. I've been doing this since 2015. I've worked under Jason DeCare Taylor with informations and things like that. So I basically did my own guidelines from the beginning so that I could actually instill for the future, so I can help others and pass on for the next future generations. So,
And correct me if I'm wrong, you have an NFT that's actually a basically NFT of the reefs that you're building, right?
correct. Like the next one is a 002 EcoBug. I have basically a blueprint of it, and I also have like a collectible card. So people will actually be choosing where it's going to be placed, as well as on the reefs and the whole metaverse, the whole aspect of it, and and I'm actually doing some things based on children's classrooms. So some classrooms, let's see, the teacher's name is Grimes, so we're doing the Grimes bug, So and it's fun. Kids love that. They love to be part of something. And this is my focus, because we have to leave a legacy. So for the others, for the children, for the future, it's not about us, really, it's a collective. So I love being part of a community like this. And this is what this whole entire NFT metaverse world is coming into. So it's a blessing.
I think it's interesting because you're not only including kids in ocean conservation, but also the metaverse, which
Oh yeah, it's a new language, new communication tool, which is just like leaves no one behind. I love
Amazing.
that.
So Shelby, same question. What technologies are involved in your art and medium, and how might these drive broader impacts?
Yeah, certainly. So technology has really been viewed as a gateway now, and we're enabling to really connect with the public in a whole unique new way where it's immersive. And I think that's really incredibly important with the ocean, because it is so out of sight, out of mind. We now have this ability to give immersive experiences, as also combining it with educational tools. Some of the ways we're utilizing different platforms include virtual and augmented reality. We're doing similar lesson platforms where we're being able to educate about ocean conservation and restoration, but also utilize it as training tools, hopefully for future divers, where we can do fish ID, coral ID, get very creative where people can dive the sites from their computer, but use it as a whole nother way to really connect in the community together. So really excited to see how this space will evolve and continue to involve it in everything we do.
Well, and I think I do want to make sure we hit, I know a lot of the talk we're having today is about NFT in the virtual space, but you guys have real world immersion of an experience, right? If you want to talk a little bit about maybe 1,000 Mermaids and what you guys are doing there too.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned earlier, we do a lot of different eco art projects that can connect the community. And one of our biggest projects in South Florida is the 1,000 Mermaids artificial reef, where we sculpt people as mermaids to bring awareness to marine conservation. Our goal is to get to 1,000 over time. We're at about 35 now, but that really is a testament. We want to build these sites that can continue to engage the community for generations to come of all ages and utilize them not only as teaching, but restoration sites, coastal protection. So we're really moving forward to do innovative sites that still incorporate art, but also have a lot of other biological factors, from coastal resilience to applied restoration, and really meeting area-specific needs for that community.
Amazing. Natalie?
Well, first of all, Shelby, I want to do a mermaid project with you and promote you on
Let's
that
do it.
because that sounds fun.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I've been a part of a marine accretion technology project, like creating awareness about how, the corals are dying because of the microplastics, and really being aware that it's not just global warming, and how to make sure they can grow back faster from all this is really important. I've touched on not just the endangered Aldabra tortoise, also coral reef. And for me, it just made sense with my Instagram travel brand, Island Natalie, to take the next step into the metaverse and create my AI avatar of, Aldabra tortoise, conservation of sharks, coral reefs. So I'd love to do that with you. And it just makes sense to grow that brand in that ocean metaverse. I'm a member, ambassador with Oceanic Global, and creating awareness and merging the worlds between social media, art, and of course NFT, using that to make sure that we can protect these animals. You can adopt a pet, make it a fun gaming solution where people can integrate and connect with each other, and own a plot of, I don't know, the ocean. Like, I don't know if you remember way back when you could name a star. And so we've got a plan for that also in the ocean and the Seychelles, but that's still in the works. But where you can own a piece of the ocean, name that pet tortoise, that shark, and you can really be a part of their life and help them, create awareness with education and children and social media. So yeah, very excited.
Wow. And just real quick, do you want to talk a little bit more about the AI Island Natalie? Because it's super cool.
Okay. Yeah. So I have this 3D AI of Island Natalie, and she can pretty much kind of go anywhere and everywhere, underwater, above water. Whether it's with the obviously mostly ocean and island themed, and engage with nature and animals. That's how I grew up. I was actually born on an island on the beach, and every time there was low tide, I would go out there and connect with these animals that kind of became my family, and I communicated with them. So it's really just a passionate thing for me, and now Island Natalie gets to go do it in these different metaverses, which I think will exist. There's not just one metaverse, there's the ocean, and there'll be different communities, just like there are different communities now, whether you're surreal or you're more natural with, versus CryptoPunk or natural art. So there's gonna be different communities that will be growing, and she's gonna travel into these different worlds and kind of make sure that these animals that don't have a voice there are heard.
Awesome. Emily?
That's amazing. I just want to say that I really enjoy listening and learning about all these different projects. I think we all have so much in common. And one of the things that Peace Boat likes to do is really be a network of kind of like Seaworthy Collective as well, bringing all these people together and using our ship as a platform. So I would love to have all these projects on board our ship soon. And so many ways that we're working with art also include a lot of the technology that you mentioned. For example, as we all know, going through the pandemic was a bit difficult for people to gather. So we did create also an ocean innovation hub, which was in the metaverse. So we did that together with some of our partners, working also with the United Nations World Oceans Day, together with Oceanic Global. And many of our partners came in with their avatars, and they were able to interact and share their work, host virtual exhibitions. And it was all around oceans and innovation, which was the theme of that year's 2020 UN World Oceans Day. But this year, 2021, the theme was ocean life and livelihoods. So this is how we ended up creating also augmented reality artwork. So I just have a couple examples, but for this one, it's Ben Van Wang, who many of you might know does a lot of plastic art installations. And so we have on the back here all the instructions, action for the oceans. And we started this campaign to bring actually the voices of youth from small island developing states who are really on the front lines of ocean degradation and climate change, to be able to share their voices. And so using the artwork, You download the free app called ArtVive, and then we work together with our partners, Mesh Minds, who are based in Singapore. They made the artwork come to life, and then you just hold, the app over the artwork, and everything comes and is able to move. So I can show a little bit. Yeah, here, thank you, if you all just want to see. But I think it would be really interesting to, create artwork that's just more interactive, right? So you have like all the artwork, you can hold it over, it comes to life and moves. And then this can be, maybe y'all can pass it down if you want to see. Yeah, but this becomes, the artwork of the future, right? You're not just going into the artwork. And I think this is where NFTs also became very popular. It was something that was more interactive. Maybe everybody has their own individual artwork. I mean, even just looking around here in this room, thank you. I see so much artwork that's interactive and unique. And I think that's the future that we're trying to go towards. So using our ship as a platform, then creating artwork that becomes interactive. And of course, the digital technology is kind of where we're headed. So bringing that all together is kind of our platform.
Well, I love to hear you all starting to connect dots on all the different work you're doing. Part of the goal of these panels isn't just to hear your amazing work and insights, but catalyze collaboration, because there's so much synergies. And more important, you guys are just doing awesome stuff, and we shouldn't, all be operating in silos. We need to be working together to not only build the real world applications, but the metaverse too. So it's awesome to hear. I'm going to connect now actually to the real world, and really, I think it's easy to get caught up in the shininess of the metaverse and all these new things in NFTs, but at the end of the day, we do still need to see it connect back to the real world. So my next question is, what real world action and impact does your art help spur or create, and how might it scale to create an even larger impact? Actually, we'll start with Natalie. How about that?
Okay. On the spot. Well, I think what I've noticed is that actually a lot of people weren't even aware of the Aldabra tortoise, which was, insightful for me to realize that, so many animals or so many projects are going on that people aren't aware of. I've also participated in February with Beneath the Waves, which is Dr. Austin Gallagher from Shark Week, actually going and tracking, using the GoPro, sending it all the way down and having this scientific research, being with them, working on the boat every single day, which was quite exhausting, but just amazing to learn about these creatures and things that you don't really know what goes on, 800 feet down in the depths. And the GoPro would come up and we'd, at the end of the night, watch what showed up. And so it was really, I think what I've realized also traveling the world is that there is a huge plastic pollution problem and people just don't really know what's going on. So I realized that my travel blog was no longer about me. It's really just about converting or changing the mindset of one or two people. And so making sure if I can affect or change someone's view of how to go grocery shopping, or realize that when you go to an island and you pick up shells, those are homes for little animals. Making them aware that these tortoises, for example, they're only in the Galapagos and the Seychelles Islands, and I'm realizing how privileged I am to be born in such a unique paradise that has these creatures, and that they're also not aggressive. They're actually little beings that all have personalities, just like your dog and your cat. And once you realize that there's that emotional connection, bringing that to these people, it creates tourism. So after COVID, of course, you're helping bring tourism back, awareness of, maybe you want to go visit that island, but maybe you want to adopt a pet, you want to adopt a tortoise and be a part of their life to make sure that they grow and watch them grow. Being a part of World Ocean Day 2020, I did that marine accretion technology project. So now, for example, I'm helping connect him to many other hotels in the Maldives, because as the corals are dying, a lot of hotels, they assume that their real estate is the hotel and the beach. But I would take it further and say your real estate is also the corals in front where the tourists are going to snorkel. So when that dies, your real estate is losing in value. So building these coral reefs, making sure they come back, so that your real estate keeps that value, and that the future generation will have it too.
And I think just a really great point that I'm hearing, and something that I think is a critical piece of the puzzle, is inspiring empathy, right? I think a lot of people, especially people who don't live on coastlines, right? Oceans are out of sight, out of mind. And to be able to actually start to connect people with that, and even the metaverse being that avenue to do that, is an incredibly huge opportunity. So awesome to hear that. Shelby, how about you?
So in terms of impact, we're hoping to really create different innovative ways to allow individuals to have a direct action. I think there's a lot of awareness around environmental problems and what's going on in our environment, in particular to coral reefs. A lot of people are aware coral reefs are dying, but a lot of them don't know an individual way of how to act aside from reduce, reuse, recycle. And, we need to create more eco-conscious consumers, of course, truly sustainable products, and education around that sector. But we also need to create a lot easier access for people that want to make a direct impact. So one thing the Ocean Rescue Alliance is striving to do is create different programs that enable that. So we have Adopt a Coral programs, Adopt a Reef programs. People can make their own reefs or even get a plaque that can help outplant corals. And now moving to the tech space and enabling and working with NFTs, we're now having art pieces that can help fund restoration. And I think that's not as often, in history that people could buy art and actually help create something that makes a lasting impact on the environment. So in terms of growing and expanding beyond, we're really hoping to take multiple platforms and further, effectively collaborate, fill gaps, work with other organizations to scale this together. We really need all the help that we can get. And I think the more innovative ways that we can really connect back to the ocean, like through NFTs and the metaverse, it's going to get even easier to really bring more awareness and make actual impact.
And I think, and Natalie also touched on this too, right? The economic impact component of this can't be overlooked, whether it's helping the economy of tourism, or on the other side, establishing this economy for restoration, right? I mean, a lot of people don't know these funding dollars are really hard to come by, and we finally have discovered a new mechanism that can really catalyze that. So, Priscilla, would love. I saw you nodding your head quite a bit as Shelby was
Yes.
talking.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
agree with everybody that's standing up for this, because we need as much help as we can, and it's great to see women. Women empowerment over here. Well, I had a great opportunity in 2015. Norwegian Cruise Line approached me to be part of their new innovation design for their island, and they literally gave me a proof of concept. They gave me pretty much like the whole 9 yards, like do what you want, just come, make sure it gets proofed through me. So I created basically with my team a whole entire storyline of the island. So I created like a very folklore snorkeling trail depicting the story, the history of the island. So then we're connecting the passengers with the history of the island, and then the passengers will go out and rent gear, and then they would be immersed within the whole entire experience. So the whole ecotourism industry has really pumped up for them. It was a matter of like having about 5,000 people in the island to visit like the water and renting out gear to 30,000 a month. So ecotourism just boomed. The island at one point had nothing. The first time I surveyed, the island had absolutely nothing. As soon as we started putting stuff down, within months, it was flourished with so many marine life. And I mean, that was so gratifying just hearing also the people that lived in the island saying, wow, we have fish, we have red snappers. Mind you, this is a snorkeling trail, so it's shallow water. So there's so many, there's so many tangible things that could possibly happen versus something deep. So having and allowing the NFTs and metaverse to be part of this is allowing scientists that could be in a different corner of the earth, to be involved with something like this, and somebody else to be collaborating on an idea to create a whole entire, let's say, botanical garden underneath the ocean. So this is the impact that we're going for it. And I have a daughter, so for me, it's so important for no matter what to instill on them. They are the future. They are the one who's going to be passing on this knowledge. So this is the most important part of it. So yeah, us continuing doing what we're doing and educating and all that is just, that's the beauty of this whole thing. So
Absolutely. No, I love that. And just to, I think we always love to say, like, it's easy to lean into the solution, but actually know who it's for and build around that human-centered design. Huge part of it.
huge.
Emily, would love to have you answer the question as well before we move on to the next one.
Sure. Well, I think, what everyone also mentioned about education, teaching the youth, which is the present and the future, right? And Peace Boat is also all about raising awareness and educating those who are traveling with us on the Peace Boat and learning from each other. So everybody is invited to have their own workshops and lectures, and also participating in all of these experiences as we're traveling, getting into the ocean. I mean, we're traveling to 20 countries in 3 months. It's a lot of different places, and you really feel the connectivity through the ocean of all the different places that we visit. And one of the most important things I think also for us is also connecting with traditional knowledge and indigenous communities. So we do work with a lot of artists from indigenous groups, for example, the Kuna or the Imbera in Panama. We have a cultural exchange where we go and learn about the artwork and the storytelling of the molas, for example, and how that artwork goes back to preserving nature and living in harmony with nature. And I think that's also really important. It's always not about the future of technology, but then looking back at the past as well and finding out the history of all the places that we visit and how we can strengthen that through storytelling also. But for us right now, I'd say the biggest project that we're making right now for impact is actually building a new sustainable cruise ship. So we know that as we're sailing on the oceans and wanting to conserve that incredible life source for all of humanity, we also realize that we need a more sustainable cruise ship. So using design and technology, we've come up with the eco ship, which will have solar panels and wind sails and retractable sails as well. So using and harnessing the renewable energy and using that as an example to be a paradigm shift and hopefully then challenge and change the maritime industry in itself, which is really overdue. We've been sailing the world for more than 38 years, and there's not really a sustainable cruise ship today that has passengers on board. So that's our major, I'd say, contribution to climate action right now is the eco ship and designing that for the future generations.
Amazing. Well, I would love to now so we've gone real world. Now I'm going to bring it back to the virtual side, which is really, how does this emergence of blockchain, NFTs, and the metaverse really grow these avenues for expression, awareness, and impact, and what opportunities you're seeing for that? Shelby, I'll throw it to you to answer the next one.
Yeah, so I think this is just an immense opportunity, as I mentioned earlier, to really reach people on a whole nother level in terms of immersion and bringing awareness, but also helping back that to direct restoration. I think we have an opportunity to immensely collaborate and also really enforce a little bit more of a corporate responsibility. One of our goals with projects as well that we create, we're wanting to inspire more of that social action, especially for coastal developers and companies that utilize these resources daily, like the maritime industry. So I think it's so important to create a pathway that's still also economically feasible. I know we've spoke about the blue economy a little bit before, but it's such an emerging space, and a lot of environmental restoration groups and projects really need to start looking at sustainable ways to fund restoration. And I think this is a direct path to do so.
Amazing. Priscilla?
Well, I just think that this is a great opportunity for the NFTs to create utility, with this whole movement, so that you are part of something, you are buying something for a purpose, so just this whole dynamic it's amazing, and it takes this everything to the next level in a sense of bringing the community together, going back to the metaverse and all of that. And there's so many, and it just keeps changing on a daily basis. Some people are just like, oh wait, how does environmentally friendly people are into the blockchain? The blockchain is so anti-environmental, but it's constantly changing. Now there's new immersed programs that they're doing, projects such as Tangle Chain, and how that works, within the community, and how the transaction works. It's like less gas fees, more energy efficient. So just understanding that you could actually purchase something and be part of something, that is huge. There are many people who don't even get the chance to be in the island, to be there, but this gives them the opportunity to be part of that. So, and that's where we're at. And I'm very happy that we're a part of this, and we're changing. We're changing this game. So,
and I think, this is part of what I'm really passionate about too, is community building, and NFTs are really a mechanism, and larger piece of DAOs, right, for community building and uniting people. And so I think what we're seeing is this emergence of collectivism, right? Where really we want to see, everyone wants to see the ocean saved. Everyone wants to see more biodiversity and all that. And if the government's not going to fund it, right, we can collectively come together to start building these mechanisms and through art to help drive that. So it's a really exciting opportunity. Emily, that's you.
Sure. Well, I think it's really interesting, especially with VR technology and the immersive technologies. For example, we had the Hydras come and give a presentation, and everybody, this was also during the United Nations World Oceans Week in New York City, everybody came in and put on the VR headsets, and next thing you know, people are just so into the fact that they're being able to see all these marine animals around, and they feel like they're diving. Even the sounds of the water and the movement of the, the actual impact of the film really brings you into the ocean. And for those of you, who are not divers and haven't had that experience, I think it's a really experiential change in the way you see the ocean once you're underwater. So I've been really enjoying these new immersive technologies and watching people be inspired and change through that. And then I think for NFTs as well, I've had a lot of different artists, contributing their NFTs for the oceans and combining the digital aspect of film and watching the videos come in also with, the oceans, but then people being able to, combine that with some other climate action related messages, and everything's kind of coming together where it's becoming a new art form that I really like, a little bit of collage aspect to it. And I think that the funding that can come from that can really help make a positive impact for the oceans. So hoping that we'll have more of that coming out with Art Basel.
Amazing. Natalie?
I would say definitely versatility and collaboration. I agree with that. Island Natalie can move into so many different metaverses, create awareness. She can dive and be down for a while. I think, Second Life has been around since MySpace. Now there's Realm. People are creating their own lives and stories, or different stories with, a piece of property that they bought, building that house, buying furniture, details like that. So integrating, ocean themed venues because of people like us that are creating awareness, that's really important. So it's not just about, your piece of land. So I think the opportunity for versatility that I have with Island Natalie, diving into all these, like even going with the Shark Week, team as an honorary scientist. I wanted to be a marine biologist, I didn't. And now with Island Natalie, I can go on board and act and be one, and actually do good with my channel, because I have 1 million followers, and let them know about Shark Week, about Beneath the Waves and what they're doing, or about marine accretion technology. And people are like, wow. So I think versatility, collaborating, I can collaborate with each one of you guys on so many different themes and bring something to the table for growth and opportunity, and also fundraising.
And I think also just one point that you hit on that I am absolutely passionate about is the accessibility piece of this, right? Making the oceans accessible, not only to explore them, but actually say, I can do this work, right? Because I think so many people get turned away by the thought that they need to have a marine science degree or a PhD to be in this space. And the reality is, start with your passion, be resourceful, and follow that inspiration.
Yes.
Right? And these are all the different ways that we're actually finding new avenues to democratize the opportunity to get into this space, which I think is just a massive piece of the paradigm shift we're all working toward here. So with all of this in mind, let's bring it now back to the art side of things. What larger role do you see artists playing in driving ocean impact moving forward for the future? Priscilla, I'll throw it to you to start.
Well, I definitely feel that, with the metaverses and NFTs, the emerging artists are actually giving I've created my NFTs, I've been doing it. So it's giving the artists to break free and actually having a diversity, and not having to stick just to one medium, but then, jumping from one thing to all these immersive projects that there are out there. And so it gives an opportunity for an artist to really think outside the box, which is amazing. And this is what we need, because listen, I have an undergrad in art history and painting, and then also film and television production. And to tell you the truth, you cannot tell an artist just to do one thing, it's like confining them. This is giving the opportunity for artists to develop more NFTs, more metaverses, and allowing many outsiders to be part of the community. Remember, a lot of artists are introverts. So this is allowing artists to actually be extroverts at the same time. So it's amazing. I mean, it's a game changer. So.
Wow, I love that. And actually, what's funny is that I just talked to an artist yesterday, and I think, and getting back to actually some of the spirit of collaboration too. I mean, we just were talking, I got to just barely talk about what we do at Seaworthy, and they're like, oh, we'd love to donate an art piece to help you guys fundraise. And it's just so collaborative and such a, so these dots that have never been connected before, that I think is such a catalyst for change and for supporting all of our endeavors as well. So great point there. Shelby, I'll to you.
Yeah, I think this really enables artists to further create, innovate, and inspire people. And just as you mentioned earlier, accessibility. We're now enabling artists to have a direct impact and use their creative inspiration to reach people and inspire people. And I think that's the most beautiful thing. You don't need to be a marine scientist to have an impact on the ocean. In fact, we need more advocates that are not marine scientists. In some of the non-traditional ways we try to engage people too, is just also groups that have nothing to do with the ocean. Sports teams, right? It's something like 80% of the population listens to sports and 25% of science, right? So we want to find a way to really connect with, engage with people that typically don't think about the ocean. And how can we do that? Artists are definitely a pathway to help enable that. And so I think it opens up so many opportunities.
Natalie?
Well, I'd like to bring it over to the content creator side, right? So an artist is also a content creator, and all of these influencers, are also amazing artists, because creating content is kind of key, and you can have not just static images, but videos as content. So I love that it's opened up that side of the space, that it's more open to what is content, what is an artist. That is such a big space now. I think that with NFTs, we have more rights with royalties, so that when you can sell that, the artist or the content creator now has more rights to that piece of ownership, and when it sells and resells, versus in mostly in Facebook and Instagram, sadly, we haven't had those rights. So these are now coming back to the creators, and it is about your unique vision and way of seeing something, or storytelling. Storytelling is also art. So I love that has kind of like broadened the horizons, and everybody has a much more fair playing field.
And I love that perspective too, because I think, when we think about content creators right now, I feel like, it's still just scratching the surface right now of what you guys can do. And now, with the emergence of the metaverse, and
we're
NFT,
out there risking our lives.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to the edge of that waterfall, jumping off of doing crazy stuff like droning. Like, we've got pretty cool art.
It definitely is an art, and I had not mastered it whatsoever. Emily, how about you?
Sure. Well, I think, one of the biggest impacts also, is the storytelling of the artist, right? It's the creation, it's the engagement, and then the inspiration that comes with that. It's kind of reaching everyone at a different level, emotional level. It evokes some kind of reaction. And I don't know, for us also, some of the documentaries that we've seen that have really changed the way people see the oceans and the world. On the Peace Boat, we made one called Against the Tide, a story for climate hope. And this was of the youth from small island developing states, again, who are really, they're in danger of becoming climate refugees, and sharing their story through documentary and film has, I've noticed already, changed so many people's perspective. And if you even think about the Netflix documentary, The Octopus Teacher, how many people have been talking about this film? It's incredible, right? And this is just a one way that you can reach people. But I think, the artists have the power to reach more people, maybe than, an everyday, professor or scientist. But we need to come together, because the science is so important. Like you said, listening to sports versus science. If people aren't listening to the science, they're not really understanding the ocean and climate, because it's so connected. So I think, the power of storytelling is where the artist's power lies.
And actually, to a point earlier Priscilla made, STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and math, right? Having it all together, interdisciplinary, it has to be, right? The science communication, the access, inspiration, 100% the future is interdisciplinary. So
Absolutely. It's a multi-disciplinary.
Ooh, yes, I like that.
And can I just add something to it? And, what you said is amazing, because with being an artist and this whole NFT space, it's really given us like a louder voice, and more than ever, because I'm not going to say anything, but the gallery industry and all of that, we've lost so much of that connection and the rights and all of that. This is like, finally, we have the voice, and we have the chance to really make a difference. So thank you for bringing that up, Emily. Thank you.
I have one comment to that too. I think that was brilliant what Natalie said in terms of, unboxing what typical standards are of even artists, right? Storytelling's in art, there's arts in everything, and really breaking that down to be more collaborative and enable people to create. So I think that's incredibly true, and using that platform
Yeah.
for good.
Well, and Natalie, just with how amazingly generous you've been with your platform as an example, to just put that out there for this panel to be able to collaborate with you. It's a huge opportunity for everybody. So I just think it's
Well,
this
I feel
radical.
it's also like as much as we are all passionate about our subject, it's also like about creating awareness, and it's about giving, because that's the only way growth happens in awareness. So and what I like to say is that, like, I feel like in the NFT or this, of course, anybody in conservation, everybody just has the most amazing heart. I've met so many cool people and connected with these amazing souls, so including you. So thank you for organizing
Yeah,
this.
Daniel, thank you.
Well, my pleasure. And with all of the warm and fuzzies, I have our last question, which is perfect way to tie it all together, which is, what advice do you have for current and aspiring artists looking to drive ocean and climate impact? Priscilla, would you like to kick us off?
Well, just to going back a little bit for like what we were the previous question, I always love to start my lectures talking about Leonardo da Vinci, because he is the ultimate steamer. Why? Because science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And this is the first time we're bridging that gap, between the arts and technology. So this is where we're going. If we want to make impactful decisions for the rest of our lives, it's design innovation. It's coming up with new solutions for us to clean up the ocean, for us to propagate more corals, to immerse this whole entire vision that all of us have, and embrace this, because a lot of people, what Shelby said earlier, are kind of like out of sight, out of mind when it looks at the ocean. They don't know what lies beneath, and we're like at the mercy right now of despair of how grave the situation is. And thank you, and that's why I stand.
Well, and I think just to your point, it could be something to despair, but at the same time, I think a lot of the work everyone's doing here is to also say, yes, it could be becoming bad, but let's look at it as an opportunity and
It's
something
an
that, right?
opportunity.
Exactly.
Always an opportunity. The
Exactly.
pandemic was an opportunity.
Yeah. So I see where these here.
Yeah.
Shelby?
Yeah, I really want to speak to the point of passion. So in kind of any artist standpoint, I'm a big advocate of pursuing what you're passionate about, and everything else will figure itself out, right?
Amen to that.
I really think that I would encourage people to find what they're passionate about, find where their voice lies and where they can have the most impact, whether that's storytelling, traveling, making physical pieces or digital pieces. If you want to have some type of impact, find your creative way. It doesn't have to be any traditional structure. And that's the beauty of this space right now. You can do so many different things that can have immense impact, and it's not what we used to think maybe like 10, 15 years ago. So I would certainly, my advice to artists would be pursue your passions, and you can collaborate.
Love that. Natalie?
Well, Shelby kind of took my words. I 100% agree. Passion. I got into this with my passion. Same. Keep your authentic voice, because people will resonate with that and they will stay and come. If you like just to always wear a red dress, wear that red dress, whatever it is. You can, and I think positive mindset, same when COVID happened to me, I was like, okay, this is restructure and rebirth and start all over, with a new vision and strategy. So always have a positive mindset. There's going to be days when you're down. There's going to be days when you're disappointed because somebody said no, or that video didn't do as well and you didn't get as many likes. But it's not about those couple people. It's about the long-term vision. And I've had many of those challenges along the way. And no matter what, I didn't give up. I kept learning. And even if you're not the best video content creator and you can't drone, well, find a buddy and bring that drone specialist with you. Did that. And then if you are not sure you're doing well on one social media channel, try to diversify, go on multiple social media channels. There is no excuse. If you want to make it and you've got that passion, you can get there. You can meet people at Starbucks. You can go meet your local, whatever. You've got a friend that owns a store, this and that. Do a meetup, do a cocktail, connect. It's about connecting, giving value. It's all about giving value in the circle of life, right? So what goes around comes around. If you give, it will come back to you.
Love that. And I feel like there's a term I really lean into, which is like radical collaboration, just saying you have access to everything I can offer, and, just would expect and hope for the same.
Well, now Daniel stole my last words with radical collaboration.
Sorry.
But I really, yeah, I just love this panel. I want to say that I really, agree with what everyone said is that last message for artists. And I guess just to, reiterate really that is to participate, I think is a really important part of being an artist, and getting involved, creating from the heart. And I kind of moved into a little bit of life design, I think, with Peace Boat's work, where I used to paint, I used to do photography, or I used to curate things. And now just designing your life in a way that you feel you're making a positive impact. And by participating in things, getting involved, whether it be paid or not, a lot of volunteer work has led me to exactly where I got today, to be able to do the things I had to volunteer and participate and be there. So I think that, collaborating with all the different people in your life, whether it be artists or professionals or scientists or whoever's there, your family members also, getting everyone involved and participating is, I think, important.
And I have one more thing
Go for it.
to add to that. I think just the accessibility of this space is really immense. And, as they always say, you miss 90% of the shots you don't take, right? Just do it, participate, get involved, take a step, take an action. I think there's an opportunity with a lot less risk than traditional ways of pursuing your passion, being a storyteller. So just advocate on actually taking that first step forward.
And I think, talking about risk mitigation real quick of taking that leap, right? Like, I mean, this is what collaboration's for, right? No one has to think that they're on their own for this if they just ask for help and get that out there and find communities, whether it's through the metaverse or real life, to make that happen. So great point.
I mean, I was going to say collaboration is key, because honestly, like to produce these projects, it's just like you can never take credit. It's a whole entire collective. I mean, we had like a group of 50 people at one point just to do a whole entire installation, in the Bahamas within a time period. But that's what I'm saying. It's like the collaboration, that group effort, it's everything. So, and content, yeah, I got to hook up with you with content.
Well,
I need better video production lately.
Well, when you talk about 50 people, it's an art of collaboration and herding cats. So,
Okay. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
well, I want to thank you all for a wonderful panel.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jane, for having me.
Absolutely, our
Yes,
pleasure.
yes, thank you.
And wrapping up our first Art Basel here, but before we do, we have Natalie's video for her project, the NFT project for the Aldabra tortoise, and as well as presentations from Ocean Rescue Alliance and 1,000 Mermaids. So stick around. Thank you all so much again, and have a wonderful rest of your Basel.
Thank you.
Thank you.